Good morning, and lovely to have you joining me on this bright and sunny September morning. Creeping towards the end of September now. Time just keeps flying, doesn't it? So welcome, my name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. Just move some of those wires out the way, and as we always do on a Monday morning, come in, say hello, and do a little bit of crafting, have a look at what our product of the week is going to be, have a bit of a chat about the week ahead, find out what you've all been doing. So do come on in. Morning, Hannah. Do come on in, do comment, do share this post, do like things, do all of those things that means that we're all chatting to each other, but which also help me out as my little business here in the middle of Northamptonshire, trying to bring these lovely things to you. So let me flick this page, because our product of the week this week, morning Wendy, morning Div, is this gorgeous brightly gleaming suite. And this was love at first sight when I saw this suite. The papers in it, we've got some gorgeous papers this year. These ones are just breathtakingly beautiful. They are stunning, and what else is really lovely about them, they make absolutely beautiful Christmas cards. Hello Megan. But they also are just so generic. They can be used for so much more. The stamps and the punches, are probably a little bit more Christmassy, but the papers are just beautiful. And it's this brightly gleaming suite that we're going to be concentrating on this week. So I have my water. No cup of tea with me this morning, but I have already had one, and I shall have one when we've finished. But I have got a glass of water. We seem to have lots of sore throats and things going around in the family at the moment, so we'll have one on standby, because I hadn't yet tested out my voice this morning to know what it was going to be like. It is a little bit on the croaky side. So brightly gleaming suite. What do we get? First of all, you get the Christmas gleaming stamp set with these baubles. So you get a couple of, no cup of tea, Hannah. I know it's dreadful, isn't it? So you get two baubles in here. You get this one here with this really fancy swirly pattern on, and this one with this sort of checkered almost pattern on. Just beautiful. And if you can imagine those heat embossed, and yeah, just really lovely. And then you get this lovely little pattern here, little bauble here with this little pattern on. This fabulous holly. It's really lovely. I've used that in a few things, and is one that you might dip into time and time again. Morning Karen. On lots of projects you've got this little spotty sort of bit just there. Those sorts of things are just so useful for adding little elements. You've got this nice little swirl just here, really ornate little strip. Some deck the halls with boughs of holly and be jolly this season, so that's really good fun. And then you've got this Merry Christmas, and this Merry Christmas is one of those sort of reverse stamps. So all the black area is what stamps, that's the coloured bit, and the white area is stopped white. So what this one does is sort of stamps the label and leaves the greeting in the middle. Oh dear, that sounds a bit drastic, Hannah. Do I need to have a transfusion if that happens? 5 p.m. there, how lovely and gorgeous. Good. Well, it's 8 a.m. just gone here, and it is gorgeous here as well. We've got the sun streaming in. It's really lovely. So that's the stamp set. You get a duo punch with this one, so you get 2 punches in this bundle. You get both. Oh, and you better see faces and things. You get both the baubles, so both that big bauble and that small bauble you can punch out. There's quite a few punches in this catalogue this time. We are going to need both of those punches a little bit later on. You get embellishments, like you get this ribbon, this Merry Christmas ribbon that's got Merry Christmas going all the way through it in copper. Really lovely. You get these copper stars, a lot of copper going on, because you'll see why when you see the paper. So you get these sort of 3D star design elements. They're really lovely. You get these are stunning, and I'll show you a couple of cards where I've used those in a minute. You get these, you get a few of these foil sheets. So there's 50 elements. So you get various foil sheets. So you get these copper stars. Hi Chrissy. Big stars, little stars. You get these sort of leafy pieces that all pop out. You get these little bauble pieces that all pop out, and they're all copper foil. Beautiful. They are absolutely stunning, and they come beautifully packaged, layered up with tissue paper, so that keeps them all pristine till you're ready to use them. So they're gorgeous. Also part of this bundle is the hammered metal embossing folder, which gives you a hammered metal effect. Trying to think if I've got a card to hand that I've used that on. I did use it on one of my projects on Saturday, but I think that one's probably just a little bit too far out. But you can see you get this sort of almost looks snake skinny effect, but once you've run through particularly your metallic, your coppers and your gold and your silver through that, you do get this hammered metal finish on your embossing folder. And last but by absolutely no means least, you get these gorgeous papers. Can't find the top of my pocket. There it is. Now I haven't got a whole sheet of all of these because I've used some of them, but one side is gold foiled, just gorgeous, but the other side, even though there's no foiling on them, they all have the most fabulous patterns on. Really lovely. That's in that pretty peacock. There's a little strip of that I wasn't prepared to let go. You've got the copper stars on that one, so you can see how they're lovely for your Christmas cards. Or we'll have to have a play with that, Angie, when you're getting up and about and feeling better. Look at this. Great for men's cards. Look at these baubles. I saw a card that somebody had posted the other day where they'd fussy cut some of these little baubles and things just to create a little card, and it looks stunning because you've got those copper elements. You can see twinkling there in the sunshine. Just beautiful. And then the back of that is this lovely green, which would make such a lovely background to that, where you can see, can't you, those two go together so beautifully. I love this one. So that's sort of that background there, and people, you know, and you can die cut your you can punch your baubles out of these papers. Look at that one, isn't it lovely? And then this one is green with holly berries and things on, so quite Christmassy. But then this one on the back is just great for those men's cards, just fabulous. And then this last one is sort of almost like sort of florally starry type image built up there, and then on the back of that is these great stripes. Look at those. So the papers are just wonderful. Obviously you get two of each of those. I've only got one of each, or half of each, left in my pack, but they are just stunning. And when you look in the catalogue, what's this, page 30, you can see all these beautiful cards and things they've made with these papers. And those holly berries, there's those stars. I mean, that's just a simple little card, but just the papers working together with those elements and that stamp set and those punches. Just stunning. And over here they've got some gift boxes that they've made with them, some crackers. They're just all gorgeous. There's that hammered metal folder, and so there's gorgeous berries and things on. Really fabulous. And you know, you could just go on making Christmas cards and things with those papers and those folders forever. But just because I am a bit of a Mrs. Contrary Mary, the card that we're going to do this morning is not using those papers at all, but it's the one that's right at the beginning of the catalogue. So it's using the stamps and it's using the punches, but it's doing it in a very different colourway, and it just caught my eye right from the get-go. So fabulous papers, and you know, rest assured I shall be using those a lot. But for today we're going to be making this card. Let me just show you some of the things that I have done with some of these elements. So there's that star, one of those stars. So this was using the Countdown to Christmas stamp set, but I used those stars and one of those little star embellishments in the middle there. These are a couple of cards using the stamp set and some of our metallic inks. I don't know if that's picking up. Yep, some metallic inks. There's some more metallic inks, stamps and punches, and just punched out, create little simple little card. And then there's been quite a few of these around, but I did use the punches and the stamps and create one of these 3D baubles. That piece of copper foil is twisted just there, and again there's one of these little stars in the middle, one of the little foil embellishments in the middle there, but really stunning. So amazing what you can do with punches. And actually to do something like that, I think it was I think I needed 20 of the big ones and 20 of the little ones to create that bauble. To actually stamp them and punch them out actually is a lot quicker than if you were having to die cut them. So that is makes it a relatively quick project. Actually, it looks as if it would take forever, but actually it doesn't take all of that long. Right, let me have another slurp of my water and let's have a little look at our card that we're going to be making today. We're going to start off with a piece of pool party cardstock. Obviously this is an A4 piece of pool party cardstock as I'm here in the UK, and we're going to make it a tall thin card. So I'm going to score it at 14.9 centimeters. So this is obviously the opposite way to what I would normally do. I'd normally cut it at 14.9. On this occasion I'm going to score it at 14.9 and I'm going to cut it at 10.5. Let me just turn the sound down on my phone so we don't get people bibbing at us. There we go. One of these days I shall actually remember to do that before I hit the go live button. One of these days. It may be a long time coming, but today is not the day, obviously. Right, so we've got our score line going on in the middle. We've got our long thin strip, and we're just going to turn that, fold that in half and score it down to make our tall, long, thin card base. So we can set that to one side just for a moment. Actually, no, before we set that aside, let's finish our card base off, everything that we want to do on that bit before we start doing the little bits in the middle. Let me find the stamp set, and we're going to use this little border here, which is just there. Let's peel that off and find a block. Is it going to fit on that one? Yes, it is. Ooh, pick up a bit of, our new cling mounts are so sticky, everything sticks to them. Little slither of white paper there. Right, so I have got this border. I'm going to ink it up with Versamark, so our nice sticky ink. And I want to get couple of those along the bottom there, so I'm lining the bottom of my block with the bottom of my card. I can just about see where that is, so hopefully that will be fairly straight. We will soon see. And this is clear embossing powder, so I'm not looking to have an image that's sticking, it's jumping off the card necessarily. This is just a little bit of something in the background. I need to catch it in the sun to even see that that's there. So let's put my heat tool on, my heat gun. Shouldn't call it heat guns. I'm just going to heat that up. And watch it go from a white powder it's a little bit wonky, but but you can see you've got that sort of just hint of something going on the bottom of your card. Oh, voice really went then. Okay, so we have our little element of something along our card base. So let's pop our card base to one side for now. What's the betting? I forget where I've put that in a moment. I'm going to get out my stamping scrub. Let's give that a bit of a spritz. Clean up this stamp. And pop that one away. Okay, so now we're going to do some little baubles. And the colours we've got here, I've got my little bags. All of my scraps are in these little bags. I've got one for each colour. And every now and then I have to sort through the piles that pile up and put them back in their little bags. It very definitely is getting to the time where I need to sort through my piles of scrap card and put them back in their bags. But we need a terracotta tile piece, a piece of crushed curry, need a bit of Bermuda Bay and a bit of Granny Apple Green. Is that wide enough? I think it is. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping. Let's put the lid on that clear embossing powder. Let's try and avoid that disaster. And find some blocks for our stamps. I think we're going to go with that one for the big one, and that one for the small one, and we'll have a swap round for the holly berries in a minute. So let's start with the Granny Apple Green and the Granny Apple Green ink pad. I'm very aware that some of my ink pads are getting a little bit dry and want re-inking, but we're having problems getting re-inkers at the moment because of some new rulings coming into customs that's affected lots of companies actually in Europe, but no least us. So that means we've not been able to get the re-inkers. So until I can get my hands on the re-inkers, I can't re-ink my ink pads. So we're going on a wing and a prayer that they keep going for a little bit longer. I need to sort out which ones I have got re-inkers for and which ones I haven't. Okay, so that's the Granny Apple Green bauble with that swirly pattern. And now we're going to use the Bermuda Bay. My Bermuda Bay ink pad is an old style one that desperately needs swapping because the lid's fallen off. But it's still working, and I have got an ink refill for this one if I need to top it up. So this time we're going to do Bermuda Bay onto Bermuda Bay. Lovely. And it's nice to have those two different styles of baubles because that just gives them a really different feel. And then we're going to do two little baubles. Now obviously we've only got the one stamp for the little one, so they will both be the same style, but the fact that they're different colours will lend them a different air. Let's just clean that up because we're going to need the same stamp to stamp in crushed curry. There we go. Okay, so let's shut those ink pads up so that we don't lean in them. And pop that stamp in there. Let's bring in our punches. So I did that the wrong end of the card, didn't I? Let's trim that off. Then we're going to be able to get that stamped image. Lined up beautifully in our punch. Oh, it's flown off the table. There's one. Let's take our crushed curry one. Two. And then let's swap punches and get our big punch out. And again, I've stamped those the wrong end of the card. Just line those up. 3, and last but by no means least is this little fella. Because that was a narrow piece of card, it's a bit more fiddly to get that one in. There we go. There he is. So the other thing that we want is some holly berries. Now I do wonder whether the piece of card is going to be wide enough for that job. Yes, I think it is, just about. So we've gone back to our Granny Apple Green card and our Granny Apple Green ink. And we'll just stamp a holly on there. And then I'm going to clean that stamp up, because rather than colouring these stamps in, we're going to do a bit of paper piecing. So we're actually using the colour of the cardstock as our infill. So what I need is I just need those holly berries on that piece of card, like that. Let me just mop up that ink that's now on that background, because otherwise I'm bound to transfer it to something else. Okay, so now we need our paper snips, because we need to fussy cut our holly and our berries, because we haven't got a punch for those. And it doesn't really matter about whether I cut beautifully around the holly, as long as the berries, as long as they're there, because we're going to lay the terracotta tile ones on the top. Snip, snip, snip. We were having a discussion. I had my Christmas card buffet class on Saturday. 9 ladies. We had a lovely time, much hilarity and chatting, but we were talking about fussy cutting, because I'd got ladies there that love a bit of fussy cutting, happy to sit in front of the telly with their scissors and cut things out, and others that are completely adverse to it. So I did spend some of my day fussy cutting deer, but that's okay, because I'm quite happy to fussy cut sort of a person. It's one of those jobs that you can get quite lost in, I think. The other job that, the other technique that that causes a bit of either yes or ooh is paper tearing. Tearing your paper. Some people love tearing your paper, and other people find it quite traumatic. We're all different, and the world would be a poorer place if we weren't. Right, so on this one I'm just going to cut out these berries, because I just want to be able to layer those up on top of the berries on our first stamped image. I've cut that a little bit close, but I've got the sun streaming in on one side of the conservatory, and making it quite difficult to see these lines because of the angle it's coming in, but we're not going to complain. We like to see a bit of sunshine, so they're going to go on the top there like that. Let's get rid of these scrappy little bits. And then the other thing that I've got in here is my white watercolour pencil. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and just add in some little highlights on these holly berries, just to give it a bit more dimension. That suddenly really brings them to life and makes it look like I've just spent hours colouring them in, which, as you saw, I haven't. Right, let's get a Tombow out and let's attach our little holly berries to our holly leaves, just like that. Voila. So we have got our elements coming together. We've got our baubles, we've got our holly. We do need our sentiment strip. So I've got a piece of Whisper White card that I've already cut there. And if you have a look at the original, it's actually the greeting is in two colours. It's in Bermuda Bay and in terracotta tile. And I have very scant instructions when I look at these projects, and sometimes you don't get any instructions at all. But this one does say fussy cut, holly berries, and jolly. So what they have done is they've fussy cut that jolly, stamped it in a different colour, and fussy cut, which is actually what I'm going to do on this occasion. It isn't what I'd have done by choice. What I'd have done by choice, I think, would have been to get my Stamparatus out and use my Stampin' white markers and coloured the words in the Bermuda Bay that I wanted, stamped those, and then coloured in the terracotta tile. But I do have a little bit of an issue in that I haven't yet brought the new in colour Stampin' white markers, and it's on days like today I think to myself, why have I not got those yet? So they're going to go on my shopping list, but I haven't got them, so we're going to have to go with the idea of fussy cutting the jolly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up this greeting that says "and be jolly this season," and I need to really, I'm going to get a little bit of tape, or you could use washi tape or anything, and I'm just going to cover up that "and." I'm going to mask off that "and" like that. So I've masked it off. I'm going to ink up the rest of the stamp. And then this is the important bit, take off that masking tape before I stamp it. Now if it does show a little bit, that's not a problem, I can cover it up with the other greetings, but no, look at that. We've got a perfect "be jolly this season," not an "and" in sight. A poor ink pad. Right, so I have, you'll be very pleased to know, already stamped and fussy cut the jolly to go on the top, so you haven't got to watch me sit and do that. It wasn't as bad as you might first think. I haven't attempted to cut the white card from in the middle of any of the jolly pieces or anything, because it's going to be sitting on a piece of Whisper White anyway. So hopefully once in place will hardly be noticeable as having been stuck on the top. So there we are, we have our Bee Jolly this season. Let's bring back in our card base. So we have our card base and we have our greeting. That we're going to have, so it just sticks slightly over the edge of our card. Let's just lay these bits out before we stick them down. A yellow bauble is coming down here. Our crushed curry, a Bermuda Bay bauble will come down here somewhere. Our granny apple green bauble is going to tuck underneath there. And our terracotta tile one is coming up the top here. And we may need just to juggle those around a little bit, just because, as we always say, these the lovely concept artists that create these cards do so in American sizings. So our sizings here are going to be just slightly different. And then we've got our little bit of holly that's going to come across here. So all looking rather fabulous. We just need to stick those in place. So I think the first thing we will do is we will take, can we find any big dimensionals? I only ever find the little ones, which are beautiful, I love them, but sometimes you just want a big one if you're doing a bigger piece. So let's take our piece of greeting, our strip, and put a few dimensions. I'm not going to put any in the middle because I want to tuck that bauble down there. Just fling the backs of them to one side, and we'll bring that there. We're also going to bring in a little bit, and it's a good job it is only a little bit because mine is starting to get to the end of the roll. We're going to bring a bit of spotted toil ribbon in and snip that off. And we then need to tuck that under there. So I think with that I'm going to take a couple of glue dots. I think we'll put a glue dot at the top there. You're going to pick that glue dot up. One. And we'll have one just there. And we'll put one in the middle somewhere. Ooh. The shadows are really shining on this now. Stuck to my finger. I should have perhaps put that down before. But who wants to make life easy for themselves when you can make it fiddly for yourself? So let's tuck that under there, stick that down. So we've got a little bit of spotty toil ribbon going across the bottom there. Let's take our, yep, that's going to slip in there beautifully. Let's take our granny apple green bauble and we'll put some Tombow on that and stick that one under there, about like that. And then we'll take our Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to put a little dimensional on the top there and some glue on the bottom, because I want the bottom to stick on here and the top to be raised up there, so like that one. And then we'll put some dimensionals on the bottom of the crushed curry one with a little tiny spot of Tombow on the top there. because again, the main piece of it is going to come down the bottom here, so be raised up on dimensionals with just a little spot of glue to attach it just there. Our little terracotta tile one, we'll have that sitting flat on the card to give it so that we've sort of got different heights. We'll have that one just there, and then we've got our holly berries, and we'll put some combo on the back of those, and we'll have those coming out just there. Beautiful. So what we need now is a little bit of white twine, so I'm going to take some piece of white baker's twine and tie a bow. So as I say, although this wasn't using those beautiful papers that are just gorgeous and I love, I did think that this was rather a fun card, sort of a sort of quite a young card, sort of somebody that's perhaps a bit younger, a bit like something a little bit funky. Let's take a glue dot on the back of that bow and we'll add that to that bauble just there. And then I think last but not least, we need to find let's find a little bit of bling to add in here. Let's grab my, take a pick tool, and let's have let's see, we'll have one just there. Oh, these two have decided they want to live together and do not want to be parted. We'll have one just up there. We'll put one down here. Let's go mad. Let's be very blingy. Let's have one there. And another little one in there. There we are. Got to be odd numbers. Can't have even numbers. So there we have very blingy baubles. So you've got your clear embossing along the bottom, you've got your ribbon, you've got your different colour baubles, you've got your jolly that's been fussy cut to go on the top to make that two coloured morning Sarah, a two colour greeting just there. You've got your watercolour pencils added into your holly berries to give them a little bit of dimensional there. So quite a little bit of technique going on in that card, but really pretty. And as I say, it is really lovely. So it's something. So the papers are absolutely stunning, and to go with these colours, to go with the blues and the pretty peacock and the copper, absolutely. You know, fill your boots. They're beautiful. But don't forget that you can do different things with it as well. So as I say, this was our case in the catalogue. This was out of the front of the catalogue. So in the bundle index, this was the card they had in the bundle index with this particular bundle. So that's the one that we've had a go at this morning, and yeah, I'm really quite pleased with that. I love those bright colours. They're just really lovely and a little bit different, a little bit away from your normal colour schemes and things for Christmas. It's nice to be able to get your bright stamps out and punches and stamp sets and things, as well as just your reds and greens. So the blues and peacock greens and things of the bundle are a lovely colourway, but why not go extra mad? So thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you've all got a good week planned. I've got a couple of classes this week and a couple of meetings and things that I've got to do this week. Lots of preparation. The next big thing in the Love-a-Duckie world is the all-day craft retreat on the 19th of October. So I've got quite a few people signed up for that. Got a couple of places left, but not many. So if that is something that you are interested in joining me for, then please do make sure that you get booked onto that sooner rather than later, because we are starting to creep up towards capacity. There is a limit to how many people we want to cram into the hall and how many people we want to provide dinner for. So yeah, so that's really exciting. Looking forward to that, and having some new faces join us on the retreat for the first time. So really lovely. So thank you for joining me this morning. Have a lovely, lovely week, and we will be back on Thursday when we will be playing a little bit more with these baubles and all of things gleaming from the Christmas Gleaming bundle. So have a good week, and I'll see you on Thursday.